Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Hope you're all doing well. If you could give me a quick sound check, please, that would be great. Hey, Nadia. Good to see you. Hey, Michael. Hey, Luke. Loud and clear. Excellent. Good. Hey, TJ. Good afternoon. So, let's have a look at what's been going on in the markets today then, ladies and gents. From the top, it's not been absolutely mind-blowing with market opportunity today. It's been pretty slow going. We've had some moves. It was good to see actually this pound yen, to be honest, just as I've come on the session here. We've actually dipped our toes into the liquidity port that we were looking for initially in order to take our short. So, excuse me, this was the short that we were eyeing up yesterday. But of course, we did not meet the entry criteria for this one. Regardless of that, it would have been successful, but that's not the point. We were looking for the move into liquidity, followed by the breaker structure, and then looking for that continuation to the downside. So at the moment, I mean, yeah, okay, it's not hit right up at the highs there, but this has definitely bridged that gap into liquidity here and pushed in far enough so that if we do break structure from now on, this will be good to go. So for those of you who were with me yesterday and we were going through this process, I think it's Dookie. Great name, by the way. Brilliant name. Dookie, I think it was you yesterday who were in the session and we were discussing sort of the barrier to entry being the break, close and retest versus a break of structure. This is what I was waiting for. So we're looking for that push of price action into liquidity, because this is where the banks are and they've got lots of pending orders up here. And what we're looking for is that market to push up into this area. Then we can set up that pending order. So now we can set up the pending order for the short and wait to see what the market does. So the pound yen is ready to rock and roll now, guys, if you want that. Looking at the rest of our assets, we did have some relatively interesting things happen today in oil and also over in the gold shiny stuff. Not necessarily interesting stuff in terms of where the market's trading at the moment, but the fact that we have made a new floor and therefore entry criteria for our short that we've been waiting for what seems like a while now. We've now got actually a decent trading margin in gold that we can utilize for our trade that we'll be waiting for. So as we can see here, short entry, target and stop loss for our approximate 1 to 2 trade, and that will be for the pullback that we've been waiting for what seems like for bloody ever now in gold. So yeah, hopefully going to see that one go down to 26.40 before long. That can be set up as a pending order and get our money working for us, not have to be at the charts waiting for it to trigger. So that one's ready to go now as well, so we can tag that one with a short. UK Brent was a really good move already today. So yeah, midday we actually had that break, close and retest the structure. We shot right the way down. We didn't necessarily shoot down to anywhere yet that I would have deemed there to be a point of liquidity necessarily. This is more of a TRF that we're having a bounce from. We've got this sort of ascending level, I would say. So if we just sort of measure this out via a parallel channel, we can kind of see this in motion here. So that's kind of what we're looking at in Brent at the moment, just broad strokes trend development. We've got nice series of lows, nice series of highs. We have a very nice trend median as well. So if we just line this one up nicely, bring that to about there, put that in the middle, we can then see relatively good development in this 15-minute channel at the moment. As we can see, there's a lot of price action sort of ranging and messing around inside this median area at the moment here. If this starts to rally back, I mean, we're looking for a breaker structure from this point on. So the breaker structure point for a trend continuation trade is probably going to be at that area in here. So if we get a nice breakout of this area, then we could possibly look at a oil long in between these two margins. So entry targeting the lower limit of the median zone with our stop losses at around here for a nice 1 to 2 as well. So that's quite decent. I think that's worth a stab. So I'm going to mark that out. Come on. There we go. Thank you very much. So, Aussie CAD. Yeah, it's probably not going to be a jam-packed day full of opportunity, guys. As we know from yesterday's session, we are looking at the last week of the month, the last month of the quarter. So, yeah, cyclically speaking, this is probably one of the worst times to be looking at trading at the moment. Better to, keep your feet up and just monitor things until we get to the beginning of the next quarter. Aussie CAD at the moment, very, very choppy range. Not a great deal of price action taking place. We've got this area down here. We've got a potential ceiling up there, but it is inconsistent. A lot of these moves, 1, 2, 3, not actually reaching target. We get this fundamental move from the RBA. This is the sort of retracement of that. And then a continuation of this kind of stuff where we meet halfway and then it just rejects, comes back up, eventually goes down. Now this obviously, if we took a short from here, this wouldn't be a loss necessarily, but it's a lot of waiting for not a lot of return. And for example, if we took a long here, we wouldn't have necessarily incurred a loss, but we would have been waiting, a couple of days before this kind of comes into play. And we're not looking at the best risk reward yields on this either, based on the breaker structure entries. So just so I don't so I'm not coming across like I'm just speaking a bunch of gibberish. This area here is essentially what we're looking for a breaker structure. So we have this fueling up at the station, and then we have liftoff. So if we're looking at taking a long, the long entry is going to be there. The stop loss is probably going to be, you could say here, but I don't think that's a really good place. You'll probably be looking at a little bit lower than that. And then your target profit is going to be there. So, this is a 1 to 1.37. If you do have the stop loss there, which is the best you're going to get stopped out of the trade anyway in hindsight trading, but you're still going to yield a 1 to 1.67, and that's really cutting it close. That's the kind of trade where I would turn around to you guys and be like, listen, I don't want to get out of bed for something like that. So there is no real trading opportunity to be had in the Aussie CAD at the moment. The most latest trade idea we've got, breaker structure here, right? Everyone agree? That's a pretty decent area, I think. We've got a lot of ranging, fueling up at the station taking place at the moment, where we're seeing that reallocation of shorts turn to longs. Well, if we get into a trade idea here, the stop loss really wants to be underneath this low, because it's so close together with the breaker structure point. So then if we're looking at the long entry in here, target profit. Okay, so this looks really good as a potential breakout and stuff, but it's just not making me feel confident because of how much toing and froing we've done between these two zones. So possibly there, well, we're still not really covering off the lows here to protect our accounts. And so therefore I would have to go to here, and then that's yielding a 1 to 1.3. And again, I don't want to get out of bed for that. So I'm going to have to cool that one off, I think, on the Aussie CAD at the moment, and wait to see something a little bit more consistent in terms of trend continuation. Maybe wait for the negative or positive imbalance of price take place, which is, for those who are slightly, unclear at this stage. Okay, this is positive imbalance when it confirms, and negative is just the polar opposite. So for negative imbalance, we'll be looking to clear these two lows out. So it looks something like this, and that'll be negative imbalance. And then we can jump on the trend, with the trend or counter trend. Aussie yen, it's really reaching for the stars at the moment. Just had a recent breakout. Whoopsie. Just had a recent breakout in here. Break close retest. Possible continuation. I think there is probably trading potential in this one. We've got a nice low here as well. The only problem is we do have this area right in the middle, which is problematic. But recent price action has shown that that's not really a major contention point. So what I would be probably looking at here is using this area as the breaker structure point for the short. So you could look at something like this. Okay, so that's going to be a 1 to 2. Not a bad little trade, I don't think. We've had to contend with this for ages, which isn't ideal. But we could also be looking, to be honest with you guys, at a long. Long breaker structure aggressive is here, conservative above. But most of you guys I know are pretty aggressive with your entries, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And then you'll be looking for a fixed 1 to 2. Not fixed because, we're looking at all-time highs in the Aussie yen by any means, but fixed because that is the best course of action based on the previous price. Previous price action high is here. That's probably where price action's going, but, you could go up the full way, but I think just bringing that down, maybe looking at a 1 to 2.4, for example, is going to be sufficient. So there is that option there as well. Now, both of these trade ideas can be set up as pending orders. There's no break close retest requirement or anything like that, especially not for the short. You might want to wait for a BCR for the long. You could, as an alternative risk factor, actually go for the break of structure here instead. Have a smaller and reduced risk reward ratio, but increased chance of success. You've got to weigh that up, whichever way you want to go. Higher risk reward, more risk. Lower risk reward, less risk. That's really down to you guys. For me, I am going to go as Mr. Aggressive on this one. I think a trend continuation with the trend trade deems it worthy enough to go for a higher risk reward. So I'll be going for maybe a 1 to 2.5, 1 to 2.6 on that one. Whereas, you might not want to. That's down to you. And I will be looking at the short as well, pending order locked into the market for a 1 to 2 risk reward on the short here as well. So we can get that logged in. Yeah. Okay. That's going to be tagged blue. Okay, so Aussie NZD. No, not even with the previous analysis on this one. Nice point of liquidity has been achieved down here. Move's already taken place though. We have the ceiling up here, but frankly, I don't want to be stuck in the middle of this one anyway. So possibly going to wait for that one to come back down to 108.60 or 109.37 before we can look at shorts and longs. Aussie dollar at the moment, incredible hike actually yesterday. Really, really incredible hike. We've had a pretty decent price action pullback. We could be looking at trend continuation on this one as well. 2 secs, guys. Yeah. So trend continuation on this one is not going to be feasible until we breach 69.10, and that's just the way it is. We're trading inside liquidity right now. Ultimately, increased level of risk. Now for the short, we could be looking, down here would be really nice, but we're completely dismissing our point of liquidity there. And that then makes this trading margin exceptionally small. Now this zone's probably a little bit wide. We can tighten that up a little bit, right? So that's going to be there. You still could look at a trade idea between these two areas in here. That is a possibility. So you'll be looking at the entry here. Target profit is going to be there. And your stop loss is going to be here. That's going to yield you a 1 to 1.46. What does that mean, team? That means it's in the bin. Nada. We don't want to be bothering ourselves with that one. So Aussie dollar at the moment, in a bit of a precarious position, right inside daily liquidity. Yes, hindsight trading would deem this to be really nice, and why aren't we taking this? But the bottom line is this is too much risk. Look at the daily chart. It will tell you exactly why we're not trading inside these areas, because this is a major inflection point. Happy to look at going short the market once we come back out of it, all the way back down to 66.50. Happy to go long if we get a solid break close and a retest outside of 69.20. But whilst we're in here, this is indecision point, and where the market is really coming up to a level where all the institutions, all the banks are really considering, are we, do we want to reallocate more assets to continue long, or do we want to take our money and run and pump in a bunch of shorts back down to 66.50? So at the moment, let all the retail traders fumble around with themselves inside here and lose a bunch of money. Let's be smart, wait for the bank to set the parameters, and then we can join the party when they're ready to move the market. So 15-minute CAD Swiss. Yeah, so this was actually ridiculously good. This breaker structure here, really, really nice play, and what a price action pullback as well. CAD Swiss, guys, got to be honest, one of the day's best performers. And that's really saying something, because the CAD Swiss is rarely the best of anything. But from this point on, we could look at a really nice trade because of the parameters that have been set out before us. So really nice guideline there. We've also got a beautiful point of recovery to here. So now we could be looking at the trade idea that takes long back between these 2 points. Right? That could be a 1 to 2.5. Really nice return trade. The second opportunity, and make no mistake, it's a nice one as well, is actually looking at the continuation lower below this area down to this area, which is where we were looking to trade before. And what this could ultimately be is like a daily retest of that descending level. I wouldn't be looking to take the trade idea the whole way down to there, but certainly is worth a look taking the trade to here, because that's going to yield a 1 to 2.4 there as well. And that is also very, very nice. So opportunities to come here, guys. Ultimately, you're looking for your reversal entry, which is going to be based on breaker structure again. The structural point, I mean, you could, as a real safety net, look at the return journey from here at around 63.10. So if we had a 63 sort of 10 entry, actually 63.10 is a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit too good. So 63.085 I would go for, and then you're going to be looking at your stop loss at the 50% point between these two zones. That's actually increasing the risk reward yield on this one. So no joke, that's going to be a great return. And I guess we'll consider this space in here as our no man's land. For those of you who don't know, and I am saying this now, guys, because we got a couple of you guys. So for those of you who don't know, an NML is naturally an area where we do not want to contend. We don't want to participate in the market. Sometimes a no man's land will be wide enough where it's worth trading. In that instance, I will tell you it's worth trading. This one, it's too much of a risk factor, so we're going to set it aside. Pending order set up for 62.90. Pending order set up for 63.86. And you guys are going to be fine on either side of the market. This session will be recorded, as they all are as well. So if you don't catch something whilst I'm in the flow, then don't worry. You'll be able to catch it up on... you'll be able to get it on catch up. So, yeah, Euro was nothing to be said at the moment, guys. It is what it is. Just cruising along. Euro Yen, definitely not interested in that one at the moment. Euro NZD is well on its way. We took a hit on the short. We are now triggered in the long. So that one's just, yeah, well, it's doing what it's doing. Self-explanatory. Pound against the Oz. No. Yeah, no on that one right now. That was superb. Unfortunately for us, it was a very nice move. What I'm thinking, do we have the capacity for long between these two margins, or is that going to be too problematic for us? Whoops. Yeah, I think it is. 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it. I'm gonna have to leave it there. I love this, but it comes with a high risk profile, because that is not just a TRF. That is an inflection point. I would not deem that as a TRF. It's too robust. It's too well established. Right, so what we're looking at here is we're looking at a margin between there and there, which some might say, actually, that's not bad. But then look at the size of the TRF we have here. Yeah. So now we're really cutting down our margin to like 3/4 of a 15-minute candlestick. Could we look at the trade idea down below there? Yes, you could. But then we're going to have to work our way through 2 levels of liquidity before we get there. So this is becoming extremely messy based on the most recent price action. It's not looking great. And this one above, I'm just not comfortable enough with this high and this low. What do you guys think? Give me some feedback here, and don't just blind. I know you've all got minds of your own. So just because I've said I'm not comfortable with it from the UTCF perspective, doesn't necessarily mean there's not a trading opportunity here. So what do you guys think? Honestly, do you think there's potential here? You would trade it. Okay, how would you trade it? Monitor the setup. Wouldn't set. I'd monitor the setup. Wouldn't set and forget. Okay. I don't know. This is just all over the place at the moment. These swings, it's a very, very messy piece of chart. Really is. Hey Dookie, I don't want to call you out, but I'm going to. Don't feel pressure. But what do you think? You got any thoughts on this one? Don't feel like you have to say anything. If you don't want to, then just put a thumbs down in the chat. Tell me to bugger off. But asking questions and thinking about ideas in the trading space is very, very good way to learn. Extremely good way to learn. And if you've fallen asleep, then that's fine as well. I don't blame you. I set a lot of people to sleep. I've got a very relaxing voice, apparently. That's a bit harsh, mate. A bit harsh. I'm gonna have to think about increasing the vanity filter again, I reckon. Oh, we've got a worker. Yeah, no worries. Okay, no worries. Kudos to you, mate, for being able to actually message in. You're not the only one. I know Scotty's at work at the moment as well, which is why he's so quiet. But yeah, I mean, most people have day jobs, right? So yeah, I appreciate that. No problem. And thanks for messaging anyway, mate. I don't want to get you into trouble though, so yeah, you carry on listening. So yeah, GC anyway. Then fair play to you, Michael. I think that's a really good thing to be able to, sort of monitor, ascertain, if there are any opportunities that arise. In terms of looking at positions that we could potentially be setting ourselves up for now, I really don't think so. I think there is money in the market if you are patient and wait for 180.70, right? Because at that point, we are then trading away from what can only be known and seen as a major inflection point for shorts. Where every single time the market has jumped up, upwards of 180.70, we have seen a real big sell-off as a result. So we know that there is a lot of banking pressure, coming in from these highs in here. We can see that from what's happened. So we've got a lot of selling pressure coming in from all up of these highs. And we know that generally speaking, when the market comes down to this area in here, or this area in here, we have these points of inflection where the market jumps back up because the profit is being taken from these big moves in this direction. So my sort of concept here is that, or theory here is that we should be looking to sell into the GC when the GC reaches up at these tops here, and then we can look to increase our risk reward yield as time goes on by managing the trade out. You're going to start off at a 1 to 2, then you can work yourself up to a 1 to 3, and then a 1 to 4, and then a 1 to 6 right down at the bottom. And that would be, the real sort of masterclass level of trading this one. But at the moment, nada. Right, what time are we at, guys? We're at 1 minute past 2. Right, let's get rocking and rolling then. Pound Swiss was one of our winners from yesterday. That was really nice, 1 to 2.3. We did break straight through that TRF as expected as well, so that was quite nice. the move that we had thereafter from this point was superb. Again, really feeling a little bit put out that I didn't manage to catch the swings on the Swiss. We had a lot of risk aversion in the markets, and the Swiss reacted really well. And so therefore, yeah, it's just pushed all of the Swiss crosses around at the moment, as we saw in the CAD Swiss there as well. CAD Swiss looked a little bit cleaner, to be fair, than the pound Swiss, but nevertheless, a really nice moving instrument anyway. As it stands right now, though, unfortunately, looking ahead, there's not much we can do. We're still trading at the upside of daily liquidity. We need to see that sort of order sheet really come in with all the institutional money flowing into the market. We need to get the big, maybe a 4-hour BCR. Obviously, guys, you know me. I'm not necessarily too much of a 4-hour trader, but the 4-hour break, close, and retest does give you that level of confidence that you are officially breaking free of this area liquidity. When this is a daily level, look at the size of that on the daily, right? It's a pretty big one. So we'll look for the breakout of this, and then we can start to look at moves up to 114.80, and thereafter probably 115.60, which would be the next major point of call. So from there and then across the top, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, about there. So 115. 115. That's going to be the trading margin. So break, close, retest, possibly 4-hour time frame, and then look to get that up to 115. Same kind of thing we've had here, to be honest. Right, pound against the yen. We already covered that. First one, pending. Pound against the dollar. Right, I'm done with the pound pairs now. Entity CAD, that was short from yesterday. It could have been so much better than it was, but hey, I'm not going to complain. It was okay. We actually did have a little bit of a move down in here. I believe the market is still long, though, and I think we're probably going to go all the way back up to this area in here. So if we just look at moving this liquidity zone up to there, and then having our trade idea, let's just get another zone here for a moment, because time's getting away from us on this one. Let's say that would be our breaker structure level, and then we have the long to that point with that stop loss. That is a solid trade idea. So that's a market order, guys. If you want to take that right now, you go for it. I am certainly quite interested in this one. If we look to the left, we also have this point here as well, which was the beginning of a major inflection point. So as always, 0.25% per trade, no more. Okay, but this does look really nice. Yeah. Right. I'll switch up that to a long. NZD Swiss again. Really nice trade. That's the long there. We already covered that one on the stream. This is really it's been fantastic. This short was perfect. This long was perfect. Really, really nice trading parameters on the NZD Swiss. These Swiss pairs, team, really want to be focusing on the Swiss and to be honest with you, the CAD. A couple of very, very good currencies at the moment to be paying attention to. Looking at the rest of them at the moment, a lot of these dollar ones, not too interesting. Very, very nice moves, but the recoveries have been extremely slow. And we have the Fed Powell speech in about 15 minutes. Okay, so for those of you who forgot that today, there's your reminder. Powell is giving a speech in about 15 minutes. And so anything with the US dollar in is probably going to be pretty risky business. So on that note of risky business, let's have a look at these US stocks. So the US stocks today are going to be high risk. Okay, what does high risk, when we're thinking about the risk profile, mean? This is at the identity stage, identification of the risk profile. We have a high risk element happening, don't we? The fundamental catalyst. So what do we do? Oh, is it? It wasn't even just power speech I was on about. Is that tomorrow, is it? Oh, yeah, so it is. Oh, actually, I tell you what, guys. No, we don't. We don't. I tell you what, I'm going to give you a job, Scotty, and you are going to be my economic calendar, mate. My new interactive economic Scotty calendar. That's like the third time now you've helped me out with my ridiculous trading view thing. Not that it was really trading view's fault, of course. It was actually my own fault, but we'll look past that. Oh, that's how it is it? I'm too unreliable, but yeah. Cheers, mate. Always fighting my corner. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you, Sky. He's absolutely right, guys. There is no major fundamental catalyst today. So let's just go quids in. Let's just throw it all in. Have some fun. So stocks this afternoon. I mean, the price action at the moment that you can see is it's not great. The charts look absolutely horrendous. There's no doubt about it. We are going to be looking at sort of trying our best to just simply trade between our inflection points here. So, I mean, it just looks awful, doesn't it? It looks absolutely awful, this bit of price action. Haven't seen a rough bit like this for a while, but it is what we've got. So the trade ideas for today, breaker structure point for a short is going to be in there. Okay. That's going to be your short entry for the Dow Jones. And you're going to look to take the trade between here at 42.17 down to the low at this area here at 42.11. If the market comes up to here and then we get a fresh breaker structure below this point, okay, then this is going to be your short in here. If the market drops all the way down and we have a fantastic time soaking in the pennies, then we're going to be looking at a fresh bullish breaker structure here. And then we're going to ride the return of the Dow from this point back up to the median. I do not plan on taking any longs in this space. So there is a long capacity from down at the lows for around a 1 to 2.3. There is a short capacity from the high of around a 1 to 2.4. There is a short capacity on the lower half from here down to there for around a 1 to 2.2. Actually, I tell a lie. That's way better than a 1 to 2.2. I'm not even trying to force it into a 1 to 2.2, but alright, well, we'll just stay there at a 1 to 2.5. It's actually a really nice yield on that. So yeah, 1 to 2.5 there. And these are the trade ideas that you guys have got to work with today. If it's a long, it is a full-on 15-minute breakout, retest, continuation of the top, and then based on a what? What's the long based on? The risk reward? Thank you very much, Matthew. Yes, a fixed 1 to 2. Right, let's have a look at the NAS again. The NAS 100 is, oh man, it is just not nice. Yeah, I mean it's a real difficult one, isn't it? You know, it is a difficult one. So you're probably no, not that. This maybe. Do you know what? Team? I'm going to scrap the US tech stocks today. So don't you worry about it. Nothing in the NAS. We are Dow traders. We are industrialists. That's who we are today. Okay? So the Dow Jones multiple of trading opportunities, even the long as well. We can go for the long above the liquidity based on a 15-minute BCR. We can take a long from down at the lows. We can take 2 shorts. It's plentiful for trade ideas. At the end of the day, the price action isn't superb, but it's good enough to work with. Whereas the NAS 100s, it's not nice. So we're going to leave the old US tech stocks alone. We're going to focus our attentions on the Dow Jones and all of the other assets that we've got going on here at the moment. I am just going to revisit the USD China. Yeah. DXY at the moment, by the way, team, did get the break, close, and retested liquidity here. Okay. Interestingly enough, but we have not cleared the floor. We've cleared the floor, the real floor, but we haven't cleared that previous low. So we are very, very, very close to coming down to that 100 level. When we get to that 100 level, I really do believe things are going to pop and that dollar's going to go. So we're not out of the woods yet. But I think that USD China is... can't turn my nose away at that. That is quite a nice opportunity for trend continuation. For sure. So I think what are we doing for time? 12 minutes past. Alrighty. Let's have a look here. We've got... that is our breaker structure area. I think that's going to be quite a safe one. Just make that a little bit wider there. So that's going to be the breaker structure point. And then we're going to have a target profit down at the lows. And that's going to be our trend continuation trade. And then we'll be looking at around a 1 to 2.3. And that is going to be locked in as well. Now, I appreciate some of you don't trade the USD China. That's absolutely fine. But the opportunity is going to go into the fund. So there we go. Short. That's going to be locked and loaded. All right, guys. So just to recap, we've got Brent, gold, Aussie yen, Euro Oz, Euro NZD, pound against the Swiss, pound against the yen, NZD CAD, NZD Swiss, USD China, and the US 30 Dow Jones Industrial Average Index in our order books for today. Lots to work on, lots to get going with, and we're on Wednesday, midweek madness. So let's see where we go and hopefully get a few more positions, i.e. winners, on the board. And if there's no other questions, ladies and gents, I'll wrap things up there. So question time. Everyone clear? Has anyone got any questions they're not clear about? Oh, that's a first. Well then, I guess I'll wrap things up there then, team. So have a great day. It was lovely catching up, lovely hanging out with you. Have a good one this afternoon. Good luck, and I will be in the room trading the US stocks with you side by side this afternoon. So let's go out there and see what we can do. So have a good one, team, and I'll see you then. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.